The throne room of the Kalari Empire was silent. Emperor Morath sat on his golden seat and looked at the large screen before him. The screen showed human warships. There were hundreds of them. They floated in the black sky above his world like angry stars. 3 months ago, Morath had ordered his fleet to attack human colonies. He had believed the humans were weak. He had believed they would fall easily. He had been wrong. The humans had fought back with a fury that shocked the entire galaxy. They did not surrender. They did not run. They pushed the Kalari fleet back, system by system, until now they stood at the gates of the Kalari homeworld itself. Morath gripped the arms of his throne. His purple skin had grown pale. His 4 eyes moved nervously across the screen. He had ruled for 200 years. He had conquered 12 worlds. But now, for the first time in his life, he felt true fear. "Father," said Prince Corrin, stepping forward. He was tall and strong, with the proud bearing of the royal bloodline. "We must fight. We cannot surrender to these creatures." "Fight?" Morath laughed bitterly. "With what? Our fleet is destroyed. Our armies are broken. If we fight, they will burn our cities to ash." Corrin's face twisted with anger, but he said nothing. He knew his father spoke the truth. An advisor approached the throne. "Your Majesty, the human commander is requesting communication. They wish to discuss terms." Morath closed his eyes. Terms. Surrender. The words tasted like poison in his mouth. But he had no choice. "Open the channel," he said. The screen changed. A human face appeared. He was younger than Morath expected. With black hair and calm, dark eyes, he wore a gray uniform with symbols on his chest. "I am Captain Park Junho, of the United Earth Fleet Vessel Horizon," the human said. His voice was steady and clear. "I speak on behalf of Earth's government. Emperor Morath, your unprovoked attack on our colonies resulted in the deaths of over 2 million of our people. We are here to ensure this never happens again." Morath forced himself to speak. "Captain, I understand that mistakes were made. I am prepared to discuss peace." "Peace?" Junho's expression did not change. "You call the murder of civilians a mistake?" "I am offering you whatever you want," Morath said quickly. "Territory, resources, technology. Name your price, and it is yours." There was a long silence. Junho seemed to be thinking. Morath's mind raced. He needed something. Something that would satisfy these humans, something that would make them go away. And then, like a dark gift from the universe, an idea came to him. "I will give you something more valuable than territory," Morath said slowly. "I will give you a member of my own blood, my daughter, a princess of the Kalari Empire." On the horizon, Captain Junho stared at the screen in disbelief. Around him, his bridge crew exchanged confused looks. "Did he just offer us his daughter?" whispered Li Tai-ho, the first officer. His eyebrows were raised high on his forehead. "I believe he did," replied Choi Sumin from the communication station. She looked troubled. Junho leaned forward. "Emperor Morath, I do not understand. You wish to give us a person?" "My third daughter," Morath said, "the Princess Vela. She will be yours. A symbol of peace between our peoples, a guarantee that the Kalari will honor any agreement we make." "A hostage," Junho said flatly. "A gift," Morath corrected. "Do with her as you wish. She is young and healthy. She will serve you well in whatever capacity you desire." Junho felt sick. The casual way Morath spoke about his own child, as if she were cargo to be traded, revealed everything about Kalari culture that humanity needed to know. I need to consult with my superiors, Junho said. This channel will remain open. He muted the communication and turned to his crew. This is wrong, said Kim Yuna, the chief medical officer. She had come to the bridge when she heard about the negotiation. He is trading his own daughter, like she is property. It is their culture, Taiho said carefully. We should not judge. Their culture attacked our colonies and killed millions, Yuna replied sharply. I think we can judge a little. Junho raised his hand for silence. I do not like this any more than you do, but Admiral Command believes refusing might restart the war. They want us to accept. So we become slave owners? Yuna demanded. No, Junho said firmly. We accept her, but we treat her as a guest, not a prisoner. We show them what humanity truly is. The communication resumed. Morath waited eagerly. We accept your offer, Junho said. The words felt heavy on his tongue. The princess will be transferred to our vessel within the hour. Morath smiled. It was not a kind smile. Excellent. You will find her. Obedient. She knows her place. The screen went dark. 1 hour later, a small Kalari shuttle docked with the horizon. Captain Junho stood in the hangar bay with Yuna, Taiho, and a security team. He did not know what to expect. The shuttle door opened. 2 Kalari guards stepped out first. Between them walked a young female alien. She was smaller than the guards, with pale purple skin and 2 delicate eyes that looked at the floor. Her hands were bound in heavy metal chains. Her simple gray dress was thin and worn. She was Princess Vela. The guards pushed her forward roughly. She stumbled, but did not fall. She did not look up. She did not speak. Junho felt anger rise in his chest. He stepped forward and spoke to the guards. Remove those chains. Now. The guards looked confused. She is yours now, human. You may chain her however you wish. I said remove them. Something in Junho's voice made the guards obey. They unlocked the chains and let them fall to the floor with a loud clang. Vela finally looked up. Her eyes were wide with confusion and fear. She looked at Junho like he was a puzzle she could not solve. Welcome aboard the Horizon, Princess Vela, Junho said. He kept his voice gentle. I am Captain Park Junho. No one here will harm you. You have my word. Vela stared at him. In her entire life, no one had ever spoken to her with such kindness. She did not know how to respond. The guards returned to their shuttle. The door closed. The shuttle departed, leaving Vela alone with the humans. She waited for the pain to begin. It did not come. Instead, the human woman with kind eyes stepped forward. I am Dr. Kim Yuna. You must be tired and hungry. Let me take you somewhere comfortable. Vela looked at the chains on the floor. She looked at the humans around her. None of them were smiling cruelly. None of them were reaching for weapons. She did not understand. Her father had told her that humans were monsters. He had told her they would use her, hurt her, and eventually kill her. He had told her this was her purpose, her only value. But these humans were not acting like monsters. As Yuna gently led her out of the hangar bay, Vela felt something strange and unfamiliar stir in her chest. It was hope, and hope, she knew, was the most dangerous thing of all. Vela sat alone in the room they had given her. It was small but clean. There was a soft bed with white sheets. There was a window that showed the stars outside. There was a table with a chair. There was a door that was not locked. She had checked the door many times. Each time, it opened easily. No guards stood outside. No chains held her in place. She could walk into the hallway whenever she wanted. This confused her more than anything else. In the Kalari Palace, she had lived in a small chamber in the lowest level. There were no windows. The door was always locked. Guards brought her food once a day, and sometimes they forgot. She had learned to be invisible, to need nothing, to expect nothing. But this room was different. This room had light and warmth. This room felt almost like a place where someone might actually want to live. Vela sat on the edge of the bed and waited. She had been waiting for 2 days now, waiting for the punishment, waiting for the truth behind the kind words. Humans were supposed to be cruel. Her father had said so. Everyone in the Empire had said so. So why had nothing bad happened yet? A soft chime came from the door. Vela jumped to her feet, her heart beating fast. "Princess Vela?" came a gentle voice. "It is Dr. Kim Yuna. May I come in?" Vela did not know how to respond. No one had ever asked her permission for anything. After a moment, she walked to the door and opened it. Yuna stood in the hallway with a warm smile. She carried a small bag in her hands. "Good morning. I hope you slept well. I would like to do a medical examination, if that is acceptable to you, just to make sure you are healthy." Vela nodded slowly. She stepped aside to let Yuna enter. The doctor moved calmly around the room, setting up small devices on the table. "Please, sit anywhere you are comfortable. This will not hurt at all." Vela sat on the bed. She watched Yuna carefully, waiting for the trick, waiting for the trap. Yuna ran a small scanner over Vela's body. The device hummed softly and displayed information on a screen. As Yuna read the results, her smile faded. Her eyes grew sad. "Princess," Yuna said slowly, "I am seeing signs of old injuries, broken bones that healed poorly, scars on your internal organs, signs of long-term malnutrition." She looked at Vela with gentle concern. "Who did this to you?" Vela did not understand the question. "Did what? Who hurt you? These injuries are not accidents. Someone caused them deliberately over many years." Vela was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke in a flat, empty voice. "I am third born. In Kalari society, third children are considered cursed. We bring bad luck. We have no value. My father allowed me to live only because I might be useful someday, as a bargaining piece, as a gift to enemies." She paused. "The injuries you see are normal for someone like me." Yuna's hands trembled slightly. She set down her scanner and sat next to Vela on the bed. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she spoke very softly. "Vela, I need you to understand something. What happened to you was not normal. It was not right. No child deserves to be treated that way, regardless of birth order or any other reason." Vela stared at her. "But I am worthless. Everyone knows this." "No," Yuna said firmly. "You are not worthless. You are a living being with thoughts and feelings and dreams. You have value simply because you exist." She reached out and gently took Vela's hand. "I know you do not believe me yet, but I hope, with time, you will." Vela looked down at their joined hands. Physical contact that was not violent was strange to her. Yuna's hand was warm and soft. It did not hurt. "Why are you being kind to me?" Vela whispered. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," Yuna said. "I am being kind because that is what people should do for each other, especially for those who have been hurt." She released Vela's hand and returned to her medical work. "I am going to give you some treatments to help your body heal properly. Better nutrition will help as well. The food here is quite good, I promise." Over the next few hours, Yuna treated Vela's old injuries with advanced human medicine. She explained everything she was doing and why. She asked permission before each procedure. She apologized whenever something caused even minor discomfort. Vela had never experienced anything like it. When Yuna finished, she stood and gathered her equipment. "I will check on you again tomorrow. In the meantime, you are free to explore the ship. The crew has been informed that you are a guest, not a prisoner. If anyone treats you poorly, please tell me or Captain Junho immediately." "A guest," Vela repeated. The word felt foreign on her tongue. "Yes, a guest." Yuna smiled again. "Also, I am assigning Choi Sumin to help you learn our language and customs better. She is our communications specialist. She is very friendly. I think you will like her." After Yuna left, Vela sat alone again. But something had changed. The room felt different now. Less like a cage waiting to close, and more like a shelter from a storm. The next day, Sumin arrived. She was young and energetic, with bright eyes and a quick laugh. She brought a tablet computer loaded with language lessons and cultural information. "Learning a new language is hard," Sumin said cheerfully, "but you seem smart. I bet you will pick it up quickly." "You bet?" Vela tilted her head. "What does that mean?" "It means I believe something will happen, even though I am not certain. It is a way of expressing hope and confidence." Sumin grinned. "See? You are already learning." They spent hours together each day. Sumin taught Vela new words and phrases. She explained human customs and traditions. She answered every question Vela asked, no matter how strange. "Why do humans eat together?" Vela asked one day. "Would it not be more efficient to eat alone?" "Eating together is about more than food," Sumin explained. "It is about connection. Sharing a meal creates bonds between people. It is how we show we care about each other." "Care," Vela said slowly. "You show you care by sharing food?" "Among other things, yes. We also show care through words, actions, time spent together, and physical affection, like hugs." "Hugs," Sumin demonstrated by wrapping her arms around herself. "When you hold someone close to show you love them or want to comfort them." Vela watched with fascination. Kalari do not do this. Physical contact is usually only for violence or mating. Sumin's smile became a little sad. "That sounds lonely." Vela considered this. She had never thought of her life as lonely before. Loneliness required the knowledge that something better existed. She had not known that until now. As the days passed, Vela began to venture outside her room. She walked through the corridors of the horizon, observing the human crew. She saw them laughing together, helping each other, sharing meals exactly as Sumin had described. She saw Captain Junho visiting injured crew members in the medical bay, asking about their families and their recovery. She saw First Officer Lee Taeho playing a game of strategy with young officers, teaching them while also joking with them. She saw Chief Engineer Han Ji-woo singing softly while she worked on machines, stopping to explain things to curious crew members who asked questions. None of them seemed afraid to show weakness. None of them seemed to hide their emotions. They laughed openly. They cried openly. They cared openly. It was everything Kalari society was not. One night, alone in her room, Vela felt something wet on her face. She touched her cheek and found tears. She was crying. She had not cried since she was a small child, and learned that crying only made the punishments worse. But now, in the safety of this strange human ship, surrounded by people who showed her kindness for no reason at all, the tears came freely. She cried for the childhood she never had. She cried for the love she had never known. She cried for the years of pain and loneliness that she had accepted as normal because she had not known anything else existed. And somewhere deep inside her, a small voice whispered that maybe, just maybe, her father had been wrong about everything. Maybe she was not worthless, after all. 3 weeks had passed since Vela arrived on the horizon. In that time, her understanding of humans had changed completely. She had expected cruelty. She had expected pain. She had expected to be used and discarded like the worthless thing her father said she was. Instead, she found something she had no name for, something warm and confusing and wonderful. It started with small things. A crew member smiling at her in the hallway, someone holding a door open for her, a cook in the dining area asking if she had enjoyed her meal and looking genuinely pleased when she said yes. These tiny moments of kindness shocked Vela each time. In Kalari society, kindness was weakness. Helping others gained you nothing. Every interaction was a battle for dominance, and showing care for another being was admitting defeat. But humans were different. They seemed to enjoy being kind. They helped each other not because they expected reward, but because helping felt good to them. Vela could not understand it, but she wanted to. One morning, Sumin invited her to observe the bridge crew during their work. Captain Junho had approved the visit, believing it would help Vela understand human society better. Vela stood quietly in a corner, watching everything with her large, curious eyes. The bridge was organized but not tense. Crew members spoke to each other with respect, but also with warmth. When someone made a small mistake, others helped correct it without anger or punishment. First Officer Lee Tai-ho noticed a young officer struggling with a navigation calculation. Instead of mocking him or reporting him to the captain, Tai-ho walked over and knelt beside his station. "The third variable is tricky," Tai-ho said, with a slight smile. "I made the same error 100 times when I was learning. Here, let me show you a trick that helped me." He explained the solution patiently, then watched as the young officer tried again and succeeded. "Excellent work," Tai-ho said, patting the officer's shoulder. "You will master this in no time." The young officer beamed with pride. "Thank you, sir." Vela watched this exchange with amazement. On a Kalari ship, an officer who made errors would be beaten. A superior who helped instead of punished would be seen as weak. Yet here, Tai-ho was clearly respected by everyone, precisely because he was helpful and patient. Later that day, Chief Engineer Han Ji-woo found Vela wandering near the engine room. "Princess Vela!" Ji-woo called out cheerfully. She was a short woman with oil stains on her uniform and a bright smile that never seemed to fade. "Would you like to see the engines? They are quite beautiful, if I say so myself." Vela hesitated. "I am permitted?" "Of course. Come, come." Ji-woo led her into the massive engine room. Huge machines hummed with power. Lights blinked on countless panels. The air itself seemed to vibrate with energy. "This is the heart of our ship," Ji-woo said proudly. "She keeps us alive, keeps us moving, keeps us safe. I have worked on engines for 20 years, and I still find them amazing." She began explaining how the engines worked. She used simple words and drew diagrams in the air with her fingers. She answered every question Vela asked, without impatience. "Why are you telling me this?" Vela finally asked. "This is valuable information, technical secrets. Why would you share it with me?" Ji-woo looked surprised by the question. "Because you asked. Because you were curious. Curiosity should be rewarded, not punished. How else do we learn and grow? In the Kalari Empire, sharing knowledge gives others power over you. Information is a weapon." Jiwoo's smile became sad. That sounds exhausting. Always fighting, always guarding, never trusting. She shook her head. Humans learned long ago that sharing knowledge makes everyone stronger. When I teach someone how engines work, I do not become weaker. Instead, I gain a colleague who can help me, challenge me, and make our work better. She reached out and gently touched Vela's arm. Knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. That is what we believe. That evening, Dr. Kim Yuna brought Vela something new: books. These are some of my favorites, Yuna said, placing a stack of tablets on Vela's table. Human literature, stories, poems, philosophy. I thought you might enjoy them. Vela looked at the tablets uncertainly. I do not know how to read your language well yet. These are translated into Kalari. Suman helped me find versions you can understand. Yuna sat down across from her. Start with this one. It is a story about a young person who discovers that the world is bigger and more wonderful than they ever imagined. Vela took the tablet and began reading. For the next several days, she could not stop. She read story after story, absorbing human ideas and emotions like water in a desert. She read about love, a concept that barely existed in Kalari culture. In human stories, people sacrificed everything for those they loved. They suffered, they fought, they died for love, and they considered this beautiful rather than foolish. She read about friendship, about bonds formed through shared experience and mutual care rather than political alliance or blood obligation. She read about hope, about believing in better futures even when the present was dark. Humans, she learned, had a remarkable ability to keep hoping even when logic said they should give up. She read about forgiveness, about choosing to release anger and pain rather than holding on to them forever. This concept was perhaps the strangest of all. Kalari remembered every wrong done to them and sought revenge whenever possible. The idea of simply letting go seemed impossible. And yet, as Vela read, she began to understand why humans had defeated her father's empire so thoroughly. Kalari fought for power, for dominance, for survival. Every Kalari stood alone, trusting no one, fearing everyone. Humans fought for each other. They stood together, supported each other, lifted each other up. Their bonds of love and friendship made them stronger than any individual Kalari could ever be. One afternoon, Vela sat in the ship's observation deck, reading a book of human poetry. The stars stretched endlessly before her through the great windows. Captain Junho found her there. "May I join you?" he asked. Vela nodded, still surprised when people asked permission rather than simply taking what they wanted. Junho sat in a nearby chair and looked out at the stars. "Yuna tells me you have been reading a great deal. She is pleased. She thinks literature is the window to understanding a culture." "She is correct," Vela said softly. "I have learned more about humanity from these books than from any observation." "What have you learned?" Vela was quiet for a moment. "I have learned that humans feel deeply. You love fiercely, hurt intensely, and hope endlessly. I have learned that you believe in the goodness of others, even when evidence suggests otherwise. I have learned that you see kindness as strength rather than weakness." She turned to look at him. "These things are alien to me, but I find that I want them. I want to feel as deeply as you do. I want to believe as you believe." Junho nodded slowly. "You can, Vela. These are not things humans are born with. They are things we learn and choose. You can learn them too. Even someone like me, someone worthless?" Junho's expression hardened slightly. "You are not worthless. I have told you this before. Your father was wrong. Your entire culture was wrong. He leaned forward. Vela, I have watched you these past weeks. You are intelligent, curious, and resilient. You have survived things that would have broken most people. That is not worthlessness. That is extraordinary strength. Vela felt tears threatening again. She was crying so often now. The frozen wall around her heart was melting, and all the emotions she had suppressed for years were flooding out. I do not know who I am, she whispered. Everything I believed was a lie. Everything I was taught was wrong. I am lost. Junho smiled gently. Then perhaps this is an opportunity. You get to decide who you want to be. Not your father, not your culture. You. He stood and placed a hand briefly on her shoulder. And whatever you decide, you will have friends here to support you. He left her alone with the stars. Vela sat for a long time, thinking about his words. Decide who she wanted to be. She had never been allowed to want anything before. The concept was terrifying and thrilling at the same time. She looked out at the endless stars and made a silent promise to herself. She would learn to be like these humans. She would learn to love, to hope, to trust. She would become someone worthy of the kindness they had shown her, and perhaps, someday, she would find a way to repay them. The debate had been going on for hours. On a large screen in Captain Junho's conference room, government officials from Earth argued about what to do with Princess Vela. Their faces were stern, their voices sharp. She is a political asset, said one official, a gray-haired woman with cold eyes. We should use her as leverage in future negotiations with the Kalari. She is a security risk, said another, a military general with medals on his chest. She could be a spy. We should keep her confined and monitored at all times. She is a symbol, said a third, a diplomat with a smooth voice. Her presence embarrasses the Kalari Empire. We should make public appearances with her to show our victory. Junho listened to all of this with growing frustration. He stood at the head of the table, his senior officers around him. Yuna, Taeho, Sumin, and Jiwoo all looked equally uncomfortable. Finally, Junho spoke. With respect, you are all talking about Vela as if she is an object. She is not. She is a person. The gray-haired official frowned. Captain, I understand your sentiment, but we must be practical. This princess has significant political value. Her value as a person is greater than any political calculation, Junho replied firmly. She was given to us against her will by a father who saw her as worthless. If we treat her the same way, how are we any different from the Kalari? We are at war, Captain. Or have you forgotten? I have forgotten nothing. I have seen what the Kalari did to our colonies. I lost friends in those attacks. Junho's voice remained steady. But our strength has never come from cruelty. It has come from our principles. The moment we abandon those principles, we lose something far more valuable than any political advantage. There was silence on the screen. The officials exchanged glances. What do you propose? The diplomat asked finally. Asylum, Junho said. Full political asylum. Vela becomes a protected refugee under Earth's laws. She gains the same rights as any human citizen. She is free to live as she chooses. That is unprecedented, the general said. Then let us set a precedent. Let us show the galaxy that humanity values life and freedom, even for our former enemies. The debate continued for another hour. But in the end, Junho's arguments won. The officials agreed to grant Vela asylum, though they insisted on continued monitoring for security purposes. When the screen finally went dark, Junho let out a long breath. That was well done, Captain, Taeho said quietly. It was the right thing to do, Junho replied. Now, I need to tell Vela. He found her in the ship's small garden, a room filled with plants from Earth. She had discovered this place a few days ago and spent hours here, amazed by the variety of life. Vela, Junho said, sitting on a bench beside her. I have news. She turned to look at him, her expression carefully blank. She had learned to hide her emotions over many years, and the habit was hard to break. Earth's government has made a decision about your status, Junho continued. You have been granted asylum. You are no longer a prisoner or a hostage. You are a free person under our laws. Vela stared at him. I do not understand. What does this mean? It means you can stay with us as long as you want. You can go wherever you wish. You can build a life for yourself. You have rights that will be protected by our entire civilization. But I was a gift. I was given to you. I belong to you. No, Junho said firmly. You belong to no one but yourself. That is what freedom means. Vela was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, she began to tremble. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I do not know what to do with freedom, she whispered. I have never had it before. Then we will help you learn, Junho said gently, one step at a time. In the following weeks, Vela began to change. With the burden of her uncertain status lifted, she started to open up more. She spent more time with the crew, observing their work and asking questions. She was particularly fascinated by Sumin's communication systems and began helping with translations between human and Kalari languages. Your accent is perfect, Sumin said one day, impressed. Much better than any of our translation programs. Would you like to help me improve them? Vela's eyes widened. You want my help? I am useful? Very useful. Your knowledge of Kalari language and culture is invaluable. No human could learn what you know naturally. For the first time in her life, Vela felt useful, not as a bargaining chip or a symbol of her father's power, but as herself. Her skills, her knowledge, her perspective, all had value. She threw herself into the work with enthusiasm. Within days, she had identified dozens of errors in the human translation databases. She explained cultural concepts that helped the crew understand Kalari behavior. She provided insights that no amount of study could have produced. She is remarkable, Taeho commented to Junho one evening. Her mind is sharp and quick. She learns faster than most humans I know. She was never given a chance to show what she could do, Junho replied. Her entire life, she was told she was worthless. Imagine what she might have become if someone had believed in her from the beginning. One day, the crew held a birthday celebration for a young ensign named Private Ha Minseo. Vela had learned about human birthdays from her reading, but she had never seen one. The recreation room was decorated with colorful streamers. A cake sat on a table, covered in candles. Crew members laughed and talked, while music played softly. Sumin pulled Vela into the room. Come on! You have to see this! Vela watched as Minseo entered the room, and everyone shouted, Surprise! The young man laughed with joy, as his friends surrounded him with hugs and well wishes. They sang a song Vela did not know, something about wishing happy birthday. Then Minseo blew out the candles on the cake, while everyone cheered. What is happening? Vela asked, confused. Why are you celebrating? He has done nothing special. He simply survived another year. Sumin smiled. That is exactly what we are celebrating. Another year of life. Another year with someone we care about. We celebrate because we are glad he exists. Vela felt something twist in her chest. You celebrate existence itself? Yes, every person's life is worth celebrating, including yours. Jiwoo appeared beside them, holding a small box. Speaking of which, we have something for you, Vela. For me? But it is not my birthday. We do not know when your birthday is, Jiwoo said cheerfully. So we decided to celebrate today. This is a welcome gift. From the crew of the Horizon to you. She pressed the box into Vela's hands. Vela opened it slowly. Inside was a small pendant on a silver chain. The pendant was shaped like a star, with a tiny crystal at its center that caught the light. In human culture, stars represent hope and guidance, Yuna explained, appearing at her other side. We wanted you to have something to remind you that you are not alone. Vela looked at the pendant, then at the faces around her. These people owed her nothing. She was a stranger from an enemy civilization, the unwanted daughter of a tyrant who had killed their people. And yet they had given her a gift, not because they wanted something, not because they expected reward, simply because they wanted her to feel welcomed. The tears came again. Vela had cried more in the past weeks than in her entire previous life. I do not understand, she said, her voice breaking. Why are you so kind to me? I have done nothing to deserve this. Captain Junho stepped forward. He looked at her with warmth in his dark eyes. Vela, he said, in humanity's eyes, every life has value. You do not need to earn kindness. You do not need to prove your worth. You deserve kindness simply because you exist. He gently took the pendant and clasped it around her neck. Welcome to the family. Vela touched the star pendant with trembling fingers. She looked around at the smiling faces of the crew. Sumin, Yuna, Jiwoo, Taiho, Junho, and so many others. For the first time in her life, she felt like she belonged somewhere. Thank you, she whispered. It was all she could say, but somehow everyone understood. The party continued around her, warm and bright and full of laughter. Vela stayed for hours, watching, learning, and slowly allowing herself to smile. She had been given away as worthless. She had been found by people who saw her worth, and in that moment, she made a decision. She would do whatever it took to protect these people who had saved her. She would be worthy of their kindness, no matter what it cost her. Vela stood outside Captain Junho's office for a long time before she found the courage to knock. For 3 days, she had struggled with what she knew. The secret burned inside her like poison. Part of her wanted to stay quiet, to protect herself, to pretend she knew nothing. That was what she had been trained to do her entire life. But she was not that person anymore. The crew of the Horizon had changed her. Their kindness had transformed her. She owed them the truth, even if it destroyed everything. She knocked. Enter, came Junho's voice. Vela stepped inside. Junho sat at his desk, reviewing reports on a screen. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. Vela, please, sit down. What can I do for you? She sat in the chair across from him, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She took a deep breath. Captain, I have information. Information that could be important for humanity's survival. But sharing it will mean betraying my people, my family, everything I was born into. She paused. I need you to understand what this costs me before I speak. Junho's expression grew serious. He turned off his screen and gave her his full attention. I understand. Take your time. Vela looked down at her hands. My father did not give me to you because he wanted peace. He gave me to you because he needed time. Time for what? To rebuild his fleet. Vela forced herself to meet Junho's eyes. The Kalari Empire was not destroyed as thoroughly as you believe. My father hid his best ships, his strongest weapons, his most advanced technology in secret locations throughout our territory. Even now, he is rebuilding, training new soldiers, preparing for a second attack. Junho leaned forward. How do you know this? I was raised in the palace. I was invisible there, ignored by everyone, but that meant I could go anywhere, hear anything. No one guarded their words around a worthless third-born child. She smiled bitterly. My father's contempt for me was his greatest mistake. When is this attack planned? Within 1 year. My father believes humans will relax their guard once they think peace is established. He plans to strike your outer colonies first, then move toward Earth itself. He has new weapons, things humanity has never seen. Junho was silent for a long moment. His face showed no emotion, but Vela could see the tension in his shoulders. There is more, Vela continued. I was meant to be a spy. My father's plan was to send me to you, have me gather information, and then escape before the attack to provide intelligence. She laughed softly, a sad sound. But he never actually trained me for this. He considered me too worthless to invest resources in. He assumed you would simply abuse me or kill me anyway. So why bother? The irony, Junho said slowly, is that by treating you with cruelty, he ensured you would have no loyalty to him. And by treating you with kindness, we earned loyalty he never could. Vela nodded. If my father had shown me even a fraction of the care you have shown me, I would have served him faithfully. I would have spied for him, lied for him, died for him if he asked. But he did not. And you did. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. This contains everything I know. Star maps of secret Kalari bases, fleet positions, weaknesses in Kalari technology, communication codes, patrol schedules. She placed it on Junho's desk. It is not complete. I am not a military officer, and there is much I do not know, but it should help. Junho picked up the device and looked at it. Then he looked at Vela. You understand what this means? If you do this, you can never go back. The Kalari will consider you a traitor. Your own family will call for your death. I know. You will be an exile forever. Your entire identity, everything you were born into, will be gone. Vela touched the star pendant at her throat. I was never truly Kalari. I was just born there. My identity was always a cage they put me in. She smiled slightly. Perhaps exile is another word for freedom. Junho studied her for a long time. His expression was unreadable. Finally, he spoke. Why are you doing this? Really? I need to understand your reasons. Vela thought carefully before answering. 3 months ago, I would have said survival. I would have betrayed anyone to save myself. That is how I was raised. That is who I was. She paused. But now, I am doing this because it is right. Because your people showed me kindness when they had every reason to show cruelty. Because Yuna healed my wounds without asking for anything in return. Because Suman taught me your language with patience and warmth. Because Jiwoo shared her knowledge freely. Because Taiho treats everyone with respect, regardless of their status. Because you, Captain, fought for my freedom when it would have been easier to use me as a tool. Her voice grew stronger. I am doing this because I have finally learned what good people look like, and I want to protect them. Junho smiled. It was a warm, genuine smile that reached his eyes. You have changed a great deal since you came aboard, Vela. I have changed because of you. All of you. She straightened in her chair. I do not want to see your colonies burn. I do not want to see your children die as mine did, unloved and afraid. I want humanity to survive, because humanity deserves to survive. What about the innocent Kalari? There are good people among your species too. Children, civilians. Those who had nothing to do with your father's war? Vela nodded seriously. I have thought about this. I am not doing this to destroy the Kalari. I am doing this to stop my father. If humanity can end this war quickly, fewer people on both sides will die. She paused. Perhaps, in time, the Kalari can learn what I have learned. That kindness is not weakness. That love is not foolish. That every life has value. Junho picked up the device and stood. Come with me. We need to bring this to the senior officers and contact Earth Command. Within the hour, the conference room was full. Taiho, Yuna, Sumin, and Jiwoo sat around the table while Vela explained everything again. She showed them the star maps, pointed out the hidden bases, described the weapons she had overheard discussed. This is incredible, Taiho said, studying the maps. If this information is accurate, we can end this war before it begins. It is accurate, Vela said. I swear on my life. Yuna reached across the table and took Vela's hand. We believe you. We know what it cost you to share this. We need to inform Earth Command immediately, Junho said. Sumin, open a secure channel. Priority 1. As Sumin worked at her console, Jiwoo looked at Vela with curiosity. Vela, may I ask you something personal? Vela nodded. Do you regret it? Being given to us, I mean. If you had stayed in the palace, you might have lived comfortably as a princess, even if you were ignored. Vela considered the question. In the palace, I had food and shelter, but I had no purpose, no connection, no hope. I existed, but I did not live. She looked around the room at the faces of her new friends. Here, I have discovered what living truly means. I would not trade that for any comfort. The secure channel opened. Earth Command appeared on the screen, their faces grim as they listened to Vela's intelligence. The conversation lasted for hours. Vela answered hundreds of questions, provided every detail she could remember, and watched as humanity's military leaders began planning their response. When it was finally over, Junho turned to Vela. You have done something extraordinary today. You may have saved millions of lives. Vela shook her head. I did what was right. That is all. Junho smiled. And that is exactly what makes it extraordinary. Later that night, Vela stood alone in the observation deck, watching the stars. The weight of what she had done pressed on her shoulders. She had betrayed her blood. She had chosen new loyalties over old ones, but when she touched the star pendant at her throat, she did not feel regret. She felt something else entirely. Purpose. For the first time in her life, she had done something that mattered. She had protected people she cared about. She had chosen love over fear. She was no longer the unwanted princess. She was Vela. And she had finally found her place among the stars. The human fleet gathered in the darkness between stars. 300 warships floated in formation, their weapons armed, their crews ready. At the center of the formation was the horizon, and on its bridge stood Captain Park Junho, his face calm despite the storm of activity around him. Vela's intelligence had proven accurate. Scout ships had confirmed the location of the hidden Kalari bases. Long-range sensors had detected the rebuilt fleet preparing to launch. Emperor Morath's attack was only days away, but Humanity would not wait to be attacked again. "All ships report ready, Captain," Taiho said from his station. "The fleet awaits your command." Junho nodded. He looked at the tactical display, showing the Kalari Armada ahead. Nearly 200 ships, including the massive flagship where Emperor Morath himself commanded. "This ends today," Junho said quietly. Then, louder, "Signal the fleet. Begin the approach." The human ships moved forward as one, engines glowing bright against the void. Vela stood at the communications station beside Sumin. She had been granted a provisional position on the bridge, her knowledge too valuable to waste. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was steady. "I am detecting Kalari communications," she reported. "They have seen us. They are scrambling to defensive positions." "They were not expecting us," Taiho observed with grim satisfaction. "Good. Let us keep them off balance." The battle began. Human weapons lit up the darkness. Missiles streaked between ships. Energy beams cut through armor and hull. The void filled with fire and debris. The Kalari fought back desperately. Their rebuilt fleet was powerful, equipped with new weapons designed to counter human tactics. Ships died on both sides, their crews lost to the cold emptiness of space. But humanity had advantages the Kalari did not expect. They knew exactly where to strike. Vela's intelligence told them which ships carried the most dangerous weapons, which commanders were weak, which systems could be disrupted. And humanity fought together. Kalari ships operated independently, each captain seeking personal glory, hesitant to sacrifice for others. Human ships coordinated like a single organism. They protected each other, supported each other, covered each other's weaknesses. One by one, the Kalari ships began to fall. On the bridge of the horizon, alarms blared as enemy fire found its mark. The ship shuddered under the impact. "Shields at 60%, Jiwoo reported from engineering. Her voice was strained but controlled. "I am rerouting power to compensate." "Enemy fighters approaching from the port side," Taiho announced. "Defensive batteries engaging." Junho directed the battle with calm precision. He had trained for this his entire career. He had lost friends to Kalari attacks, but he did not let anger cloud his judgment. Every order was calculated. Every decision was measured. "Focus fire on their flagship," he commanded. "If we take down Morath, the rest will falter." The human fleet surged toward the massive Kalari command ship. Its shields flickered under the combined assault. Then, a transmission cut through the battle's chaos. "Human vessels, this is Prince Korin of the Kalari Empire." The face on the screen was proud and angry. Vela recognized her brother, the heir to her father's throne. "Cease your attack immediately. Surrender the traitor princess, and we may show mercy." Junho did not flinch. "We do not surrender our people, Prince, and we do not surrender to tyrants. That creature is not your people. She is Kalari property, a worthless third-born who has betrayed her blood." Korin's eyes burned with hatred. "Return her to face justice, or we will destroy you all." Before Junho could respond, Vela stepped forward. Her heart pounded, but her voice was clear. "Let me speak to him." Junho hesitated, then nodded. He stepped aside. Vela faced the screen. Her brother stared at her with contempt. "Korin," she said, "I was never your property. I was never Father's property. I was a person, a living being with thoughts and feelings, and I was treated like garbage by everyone in our family. You were treated as you deserved. Thirdborns are cursed. Everyone knows this. That is a lie. A convenient lie told by those in power to justify their cruelty. Vela's voice grew stronger. I have lived among humans now. I have seen what true civilization looks like. They do not abandon their weak. They do not abuse their children. They lift each other up instead of pushing each other down. You have been corrupted by these animals. No, I have been saved by them. Vela took a deep breath. I denounce the Kalari Empire. I denounce our father's cruelty and our culture's barbarity. I stand with humanity because humanity showed me that I have worth, that every life has worth. She looked directly into the camera, knowing that her words were being broadcast across both fleets. To any Kalari listening who has been treated as I was, who has been told they are worthless, who has been beaten and ignored and cast aside, I say this: there is another way. The humans will accept you. They will treat you with dignity. You do not have to serve tyrants who despise you. The transmission ended. Corin's face disappeared. For a moment, there was silence on the bridge. Then Sumin spoke. Captain, I am receiving transmissions from several Kalari vessels. They are requesting terms of surrender. Junho stared at her. How many? 7 ships. No, 9. The number is growing. Sumin's eyes widened. Some of their captains are third-borns. They are responding to Vela's message. Vela felt tears threatening again. Her words had reached someone. Her pain had meant something. The battle continued, but its outcome was now certain. As more and more Kalari ships surrendered or withdrew, the human fleet closed in on the flagship. Emperor Morath's ship fought to the end, but it fought alone. Its shields collapsed. Its weapons were silenced. Finally, its engines died, leaving it drifting helplessly in space. Junho opened a channel to the disabled flagship. Emperor Morath, your fleet is destroyed. Your plans are finished. Surrender now, and we will take you prisoner according to the rules of war. Morath's face appeared on the screen. He looked old and broken, his purple skin pale, his 4 eyes empty of hope. How? He whispered. How did you know our plans, our positions, everything? Junho smiled slightly. Your daughter told us. Morath's face twisted with rage. That worthless creature. She was nothing, a bargaining piece, a gift to be used and discarded. She was never worthless, Junho replied calmly. You were simply too blind to see her value. You traded away your greatest asset because you did not believe she was worth anything. She was supposed to die. You were supposed to kill her. We are not like you, Emperor. We do not treat people as disposable objects. We showed her kindness. We showed her respect, and in return, she gave us everything we needed to defeat you. Morath said nothing. His face was gray with defeat. Your contempt destroyed you. Junho continued. If you had loved your daughter, she would have served you loyally. Instead, she serves us. The child you discarded became the weapon that ended your reign. The transmission cut off. Morath had no more words. As the human fleet secured its victory, Vela stood on the bridge, surrounded by people who had become her family. Yuna hugged her tightly. Sumin squeezed her hand. Jiwoo smiled through tears. Taiho nodded with respect. Junho approached her. You did something incredible today. Your broadcast changed the battle. Those surrendering ships might have caused hundreds more casualties if they had kept fighting. Vela shook her head. I only told the truth. The Kalari have suffered under my father's rule too. I just reminded them that they had a choice. That is exactly what we hoped for, Junho said. Not just victory, but change. You planted a seed today, Vela. The Kalari will not be the same after this. Vela looked out at the stars through the viewport. Debris from destroyed ships drifted past. Somewhere out there, Kalari survivors were contemplating her words, wondering if a different future was possible. "It will take time," she said softly. "Change is slow, but I believe it can happen. I believe my people can learn what I learned." "They will have a good teacher," Junho said. Vela smiled. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe it was true. The war was over, but her real work was just beginning. 1 year had passed since the Battle of the Varus Corridor. In that time, the galaxy had changed more than anyone thought possible. Emperor Morath was dead, not killed by humans, but by his own people. 3 months after his defeat, a group of reformist Kalari officers had stormed the imperial palace. They had broadcasted his execution across the empire, declaring an end to the old ways. The new Kalari government was led by a council of representatives from all castes, including, for the first time in history, third-borns. They had reached out to humanity not as enemies, but as hopeful partners. Peace was declared. Real peace, built on understanding rather than fear. And at the center of this transformation was a young woman who had once been called worthless. Lieutenant Vela of the United Earth Fleet walked through the corridors of the horizon with purpose in her steps. Her uniform was crisp and clean, the symbols of her rank shining on her chest. The star pendant hung at her throat as always, a reminder of the day she had found her family. She was not the same frightened creature who had been brought aboard in chains. Her back was straight now. Her eyes were bright. She smiled at crew members she passed, and they smiled back with genuine warmth. "Lieutenant Vela," a young ensign said, stopping to salute. "Good morning." "Good morning, ensign," Vela replied. "How is your sister? Did she receive her medical school acceptance?" The ensign beamed. "Yes, Lieutenant. She is so excited. Thank you for asking." Vela watched him walk away with satisfaction, learning to care about others, to remember details of their lives, to show interest in their happiness. These skills did not come naturally to her, but she practiced every day, and every day it became a little easier. She reached the bridge and took her station. As the ship's cultural liaison officer, she served as a bridge between humanity and the reformist Kalari. She advised on diplomatic matters, helped translate not just words but meanings, and worked to prevent misunderstandings between two very different civilizations. Captain Junho sat in his command chair, reviewing reports. He looked up as she entered. "Good morning, Lieutenant. Ready for the memorial ceremony?" "Yes, Captain. My speech is prepared." "Nervous?" Vela considered. "A little, but also proud. It is an honor to speak at such an event." The memorial ceremony was being held on Earth, in the great city of New Geneva. Leaders from both human and Kalari governments would attend. They would honor the dead from the war and celebrate the peace that had followed. And Vela had been asked to deliver the opening address. The Horizon entered Earth's orbit later that day. Vela stood at the observation deck and watched the blue and green planet grow larger through the windows. She had visited Earth several times now, but it never stopped amazing her. The variety of life, the beauty of the landscapes, the warmth of the people. All of it felt like a gift she did not deserve. But she was learning that deserving was not the point. The humans had shown her that kindness was not a reward for good behavior. It was simply how beings should treat each other. A hand touched her shoulder. Yuna stood beside her, smiling. "It is beautiful, is it not?" the doctor said. More beautiful every time I see it, Vela agreed. I remember when you first came aboard. You were so afraid, so closed off. You expected us to hurt you. Yuna's eyes were soft. Look at you now. A lieutenant, a diplomat, a hero. I am not a hero. I only did what was right. That is exactly what heroes do. Yuna squeezed her shoulder. I am proud of you, Vela. We all are. The memorial ceremony was held in a vast outdoor amphitheater. Thousands of humans and Kalari sat together, something that would have been unimaginable just a year ago. Vela walked to the podium. She looked out at the sea of faces. Human faces. Kalari faces. All watching her, waiting. She took a deep breath and began to speak. 1 year ago, I was given away by my father, like an unwanted gift. He believed I was worthless. He believed humans were monsters who would destroy me. He was wrong about both. Her voice echoed through the amphitheater. I was given to monsters, he thought. Instead, I found the kindest beings I have ever known. I was meant to suffer and die. Instead, I was healed and given new life. I was supposed to be worthless. Instead, I discovered that every life has infinite worth. She paused, letting her words settle. My father believed that cruelty was strength. He believed that power came from making others fear you. He ruled through intimidation and violence for 200 years. She shook her head, and it took humanity only months to defeat him. Not because humans are more violent, not because they have better weapons, but because they fight for each other rather than against each other. She looked at the Kalari in the audience, many of whom bore the marks of being thirdborns, of being outcasts in their own society. I know there are those among my people who still doubt, who still believe the old ways were right. To them, I say this. I was raised in the heart of the Kalari Empire. I saw the old ways up close, and I tell you, they are poison. They make us weak, not strong. They make us lonely, not safe. Her voice grew stronger. But there is another way. I have seen it. I have lived it. Humanity showed me that kindness is not weakness. Love is not foolish. Trust is not dangerous. These things are the foundation of true civilization. She raised her hand to touch her star pendant. Today, we honor those who died in the war. Humans and Kalari both. We remember their sacrifice. But the greatest way to honor the dead is to build a future where such sacrifice is no longer necessary. A future where our children grow up seeing each other as friends, not enemies. A future where no child is ever told they are worthless. She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. I was given away because I was worthless. I was sent to monsters. Instead, I found family. My father believed cruelty was strength. Humanity showed me that kindness is the greatest power in the universe. The audience was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, applause began. It grew louder and louder until the entire amphitheater was thundering with it. Vela stepped back from the podium. She was trembling, overwhelmed by emotion. Junho was waiting for her at the edge of the stage. He smiled and offered his hand. Well done, Lieutenant. Thank you, Captain. That evening, the crew of the Horizon gathered for a private dinner. It was a tradition they had started after the war, a way to remember that they were more than colleagues. They were family. Vela sat at the table surrounded by the people who had saved her. Junho at the head, Yuna beside her, Taiho across from her, Sumin and Jiwoo filling the remaining seats. The food was simple but delicious. The conversation was warm and easy. Laughter filled the room. At one point, Sumin raised her glass. To peace! Everyone echoed her. To peace! Then Ji-woo raised hers. To the horizon. Again, everyone joined. To the horizon. Finally, Vela raised her glass. Her hand was steady, her heart full. To my family, she said softly. The others smiled. They raised their glasses to meet hers. To family, they said together. Later, as the stars shone through the windows, Vela sat alone on a balcony overlooking the city. The sounds of celebration drifted up from below. Fireworks painted the sky in brilliant colors. She thought about the journey that had brought her here, the pain, the fear, the loneliness, and then the kindness that had changed everything. She had been given away as nothing. She had become something extraordinary, not through violence or conquest, not through cunning or deception, but through love, through kindness, through the simple act of people caring for each other. Her father had been wrong about everything. Weakness was not caring too much. Weakness was caring too little. Strength was not standing alone. Strength was standing together. And the humans, these strange, emotional, compassionate creatures, had shown the entire galaxy what true strength looked like. Vela smiled at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Kalari were changing. Slowly, painfully, but surely. They were learning what she had learned. They were discovering that there was a better way to live. It would take generations. There would be setbacks and struggles. But the seed had been planted, and someday, perhaps, the galaxy would be full of peoples who treated each other with the kindness she had found aboard a human ship called the Horizon. Until then, she would keep working, keep teaching, keep showing others that every life had worth. Because that was what her family had taught her, and she would never, ever forget it.